Most of the lessons I have done here on YouTube so far has been for more intermediate to advanced players. But I thought it might be interesting this time to do something a bit different and do a lesson on improvisation for beginners. Now I see two common challenges people often have when they first start trying to improvise. The first is an option paralysis caused by having too many possible choices. When we improvise, there's an almost endless amount of choices that can be made, and this can be difficult for some. The second issue I see is a lack of structure and melodic development, and this often causes people to just play random notes up and down the scale, and that can sound boring and predictable. A solution to these problems is to start using licks. Now, licks are short melodic ideas that can be put together into a solo. Many people, however, end up playing the licks the exact same time every time, and that also sounds predictable and boring, and most of the solos end up sounding the same. What I like to do is practice changing these licks using development techniques. This will help you create new melodies using the same licks but in different ways. For this lesson, we are going to use two simple blues licks. The first lick, lick 1, sounds like this. It starts with a bend and then goes 2 notes down the scale. If you haven't started bending yet, you can also play this lick with a slide. The second lick, let's call it lick 2, goes like this. We start on this note, go 2 notes up the scale, and 1 back down again. If I play them one after the other, it will sound like this. We are going to use a simple blues in A and use the A minor pentatonic scale. The scale is like this. The root note is here, and if you change this root note, you can use the same ideas in other keys as well. For instance, if I change it down here, I can play over a blues in G, or up here, I can play over a blues in E, because this is a E, the root of the E minor pentatonic scale. But in this lesson we are using A. Now for this lesson we are going to play for 2 bars, rest for 2 bars, play for 2 bars, rest for 2 bars, play for 2 bars, rest for 2 bars. This will make it easier in the beginning so you don't have to choose when to play. For the first exercise in this lesson, we're going to do something really simple, just change the order of the licks. So now we have 2 possible options. Start with lick 1 and follow with lick 2, or start with lick 2 and follow with lick 1. So you can either go or you still have some choices that can be made. You can start with lick 1 and then lick 2, and go for lick 1 and lick 2 again, and then play lick 2 and then lick 1. Or you can start with lick 1 and then lick 2, go to lick 1 and then 2, and so on. There's quite a few combinations that can be done here. Try it out over the backing track. The second exercise is to add a repetition of one of the licks. Now you can either start with lick 1 and repeat lick 1 and then go to lick 2, or you can start with lick 1 and then go to lick 2 and then repeat lick 2, or start with lick 2, repeat lick 2 and go to lick 1, and so on. When you have tried repeating just one of the licks, you can start repeating both as well. This will give you combinations like 1 1 2 2, 1 2 2 1, and so on. For the next exercise, we are going to add rhythmic displacement to the possible options. Rhythmic displacement means playing the lick starting at another beat of the bar. The first lick usually starts at the second beat of the bar, like 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. But you can also play it starting at beat 1, 3 4 1 2 3 4. Or on 4, 1 2 3 4, and so on. For many beginners, it can be difficult to start on specific beats, so just try playing it a bit earlier or a bit later than you have so far. Next, we are going to add rhythmic variation. This means making some of the notes shorter or some of the notes longer. The easiest way to start doing this is lengthening some of the notes in the licks. For instance, there I lengthened the first one, or I can lengthen the second one. There's a lot of possibilities here. Try it out over the backing track. The next exercise we're going to try is what I like to call creative repetition. This is taking one of the notes of the licks and repeating it, or you can repeat more notes. For instance, in the first lick, there I repeated the first note, or I can repeat the second note, or the last note. I can try it with the lick 2, or I can repeat the third one. You can also try repeating groups of notes. Like in the first lick, I can repeat the first 2-note group, or I can repeat the second group. In lick 2, I can repeat the first 3 notes, or the last 2 notes. There's a lot of combinations that is possible here, so now you have a fair amount of choices that can be made. Try it out over the backing track. In the next 2 exercises, we are going to start using the scale. Remember, we are using the A minor pentatonic scale. The first thing we are going to do is swap out some of the notes in the licks with other notes from the scale. This is a lot easier to do with lick 2, since we don't use bending there. So let's start with that one. There I changed the second note from this one to that one, so I go to a lower note instead of a higher note. I can also change it to this note, and so on. There's a lot of possibilities here. With lick 1 we can go, or try it out over the backing track. Now for the final exercise of this lesson, we're going to do something called sequencing. Sequencing is taking a lick and moving it to another starting point in the scale. Let's try it with lick 2. Now lick 2 is starting on this note, going 2 notes higher in the scale and 1 back again. If I start on the next note of the scale, this note, and go 2 notes higher in the scale and 1 back again, I get this. So instead of, I get, if I start on this note, go 2 notes higher in the scale and 1 back again, I get that. Or here. This way you get a lot of possible starting points of the lick, and it sounds quite different. Now with lick 1 it's a bit harder since we're starting with a bend. What we're actually playing when we're bending is this. Because we're bending this note up to sound like this one. So what's actually going on in lick 1 is playing a note of the scale, skipping a note of the scale, going down, and then playing the next note down in the scale. But we're playing it with a bend. To sequence this lick, we need to start on the next note of the scale and bend it to the next one. In this instance, it's quite a distance to bend. So here I prefer playing it without the bend. Starting position of this lick was. The next sequence without the bend will be. And then the next one will be. Going up, we'll get. And there. We can also go down. So the easiest places to play lick 1 is where you can do the bend. That's you can also do these sequences as well. Try it out over the backing track and try combining what you have practiced so far. If you want to take this a bit further and learn more about these kind of improvisation exercises, check out my book Improvising with Motives. It's a book about using motivic development techniques for improvisation, and a lot of what I've been teaching in this lesson is loosely based on that book. But the book takes it a bit further and it's slightly more advanced. You'll find a link in the description below.